Hello there and welcome to the second successful submission to the Master League Map Making Competition 2021. And we're going to be on Champs-Élysées, which, as you can see, has a fantastic background picture of the post-World War II parades, Vive de Gaulle, etc. This is made by the map maker Joe J. Now, I've not heard of this guy before, so not aware if he's done any other work, but I mean, this map does seem to be an interesting theme, let's say. I've never seen a Parisian theme in Co2 before, because quite frankly, obviously, the French surrendered just before Paris could fall, and then Hitler visited once, and they cut the the elevator cables in the Eiffel Tower, didn't they? So he couldn't go to the top, which sounds like a joke and sounds like a made-up story, but is literally what happened. But no, this is going to be based on that famous kind of boulevard, or like main avenue, whatever you want to call it. And it is quite an open map, as you're soon to discover. Twitch and I, that's the 80 or so viewers I have live, we have already had a little look at it to prepare for this analysis. And yeah, we're going to be watching. I can't get it to load in World Builder, it would not work. So let's just load up my zoom hacks, and we might change the atmospheric setting, but I just want to get accustomed to the game map first. So this is how it looks in default. This is your base sector from the east side, and this is your base sector from the west side, which I think is really cool, by the way. I like the fact that it's not using hedgerows. This is what we asked for in this map making competition. No more Western France rural maps, basically. We've had enough, and we want to see if you can make a rural map kind of tournament level map work, but in a different setting. Because the tournament players and the casters and all the fans are used to that open gameplay. But anyway, you know the rules. Let's have a look at this map and just analyse it as we come from the western side to the central victory point to the eastern base. And the immediate thing you'll all recognise is how small this map is. This is from default there. It's 2 screen widths to get from base to base, which quite frankly is not enough. So I know that with map making, it can be tricky to get the map size correct, but I would say that he's certainly got enough base sector. But then, is this usable base sector here? Are we judging too harshly? I mean, certainly it's an infantry passage in, so maybe this should just be seen as more of part of the map, and maybe we can't exactly say it's 2 screen widths. Maybe that's harsh. Now, I'm just going to load a different atmospheric setting, just to check if this guy's lighting is good. This is my favourite one in the game. And this just allows me to zoom out a little bit. So we've all seen how it looks in his lighting, but I don't want any fog, so this is why I've done this. So anyway, let's analyse the tactical map and have a look at these territory sectors. So the fuel is here, and it's most maps these days have what's called rotational symmetry, and the fuel is there for the eastern player. The cutoff, however, is very deep. It's very close to the base exit, so we want to. That's immediately a red flag, and unless it's the map Mill Road, where it's a design feature deliberately implanted, we want to check to see if the players can control their own fuel that too easily. And immediately you would say that they can, but this guy Joe J did try and address this and messaged me privately. So let's see what he said in the private message. Some design notes you might find interesting for the video. The map is based on the stretch of Champs-Élysées leading to Place de Concorde, where the Germans had their headquarters. Interesting. I wanted to make an urban map that wasn't the usual grey rubble. The off-map areas need the most visual work, especially the Seine in the south. In addition to the 2 normal base exit entrances, the bases have walls. Currently, there are only 2 usable garrisons near the munitions points, but I might add a few more. So, that's his design notes. And I've probably left the screen facing this cutoff for a while there whilst I read it from Discord. But there's the Seine. As you can appreciate, the river does indeed need a lot of work. And let's go check out these munitions points, the garrisons he's talking about. Okay, these are the only garrisons in the entire map. A city map where everything is pretty much destroyed already, meaning it actually it plays more like a rural map, which is cool. It's what we're after. Now what we're going to do next is we're just going to assess the aesthetics and the quadrants, like, you know, the tiles basically, and see what we think, what we like. I love this roundabout. That's just badass. It's Yeah, it's not the Arc de Triomphe. That isn't in the game files, but it's pretty cool. I love the industrial sector. Kind of, that's quite kind of cute. Just representing, you know, the different edge, and the houses don't look as nice down there, so that's cool. And then we've got the bases, which are quite nice, like little parks. In fact, I would try and make the bases, or at least this eastern base, a park. And the western base, I don't know what you want to do with that. Maybe you could have a lot of cars around there, make it like a glorified car park or something. Or a market, you could make it a market perhaps. And that was a couple of ideas Twitch chat had for the map, is just to have like an industrial sector up here, and maybe a market down here perhaps, or a park. Well, that is a park, that's cool. But if it's a park, you would want a few more gates and a few more fences perhaps. So there's a lot you can work on aesthetically here. I would have to say that this sector here is the ugliest. It's a little bit bland, especially this here. And that is kind of mirrored by, I want to say, this here. I don't think that works either. In terms of the tree line, of course, the famous Parisian tree line, I think that's nice. It works. It looks good. Obviously, you've put a lot of textures in already on the road. But I think you could do with a few more elsewhere. It's looking good, but it could do with more tender love and care. A few craters, perhaps. Just a bit of debris, maybe. And yeah, it's not bad. It's a good first draft, let's say. Now, in terms of combat, without having ever played on the map, you can just see that it's very, very open at the moment. There's very little in the way of the players. They'll just collide, smash around, and you all know my chaos theory of maps. If it's too open, without enough flow blockers, it won't be a very good map, quite frankly. But if it's too closed, it'll be all about flanking, and support weapons can't work. So it's about finding that sweet spot. For me, the best way to find the sweet spot for this map, considering if we're an MG, at the moment we just kind of set up here. We've got huge sight lines of the central victory point. We are somewhat flankable, but perhaps not flankable enough. And the sight lines are too wide coming in from each side, so the MG can set up, change direction, set up, change direction. I'm sure the same is of the opposite side. Indeed, it looks like it is. In fact, possibly easier to control from this angle. You know, it's so open. So what I'm going to suggest is to increase what you've already started to do with this line of houses and rubble. So you see, you've got these two here. I would add possibly a third, maybe in this gap here, and in this gap here. And the reason is you then have the two flow blockers. That is, you know, it doesn't create 3-lane effect, but it would be, you know, it would just add a little bit more flanking possibility to this central ground. And if you do that, yes, you would be roughly dividing your map in 3 and blah, blah, blah. It's so cliched, but I think there's enough going on here to make it not play in a regimented way. I think if you just add another wreckage there and another one here, the sight lines of an MG situated there or an MG situated there wouldn't be too dominant on the centre. That is my advice there. Now, going back to the territory sectors, I just want to put myself in the mind of a kind of a Wehrmacht or a Brit player just trying to lock things down. Now, you've got to ask yourselves, are the fuel and the high munitions too close together? Is it possible to sit on the fuel, for example, and dominate both the victory point and the munitions? So we're going to look at that next. I'm sure you've already looked at this. You seem like a reasonable sort. But as you can see, I mean, right now, you know, you've got a couple of Zis guns, a couple of Dushkas. You've got this entire high point locked up. And then you'll see them coming from a mile away to take the standard territory point. So you can sit here and dominate this. And it doesn't matter what's happening in that central victory point. You can think about that later. Same up here, to be honest. Although there is this industrial sector which is going to cause imbalance because there's nothing down here of a similar nature. Okay? So on the fuel up here, you can't set up as easily with your support weapons and just dominate your opponent because there's this walled area. Which isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying remove the walled area. I'm thinking maybe add something down here. Or alternatively, you may want to move the munitions points in. So I'm thinking perhaps this sector here. So let's have a look at that. Where would that be? That would be here. A little bit further away from the fuel perhaps. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it would be. Would it? But there's always stuff you can be doing. Perhaps push the munitions. A lot of munitions end up in this close to the centre of maps, which is a little bit odd. But I'm not saying you have to do that. Let's think about this. If this became the cutoff, where my mouse is here, you could have the munitions then further back and put it up here. That would work. You know, something like that. Munitions further back and further away from the fuel. Just create more space between the fuel and the munitions. Basically is what I'm saying. Doesn't matter how you do it. But right now they're a little bit too close and too lockdownable. And as mentioned, I would advise you to change this cutoff. This is mentioned on Discord. Change this cutoff from here to here. The reason being is it is a little bit close to base, and although you've defended it, and we haven't seen players play on it quite yet, it immediately would look too close to base to have a cutoff there. You might want to pull it back. But these are all just advisories. It's all just stuff to consider. You are the map maker, and I am but a reviewer. You know, it may be my competition, but that does not mean you have to follow my advice. Just yeah, it's a great first draft, though. I'm thinking this could be a really exciting map to play on. One thing you may want to consider, I've just thought, is there's a lot of lamps in the world build files that offer like an orange glow. You can have a lot more street lighting. And I don't know how you get to turn them on, though. You've got a lot of lamps, but I've seen on like Nexus, there's ones that offer like an orange glow. I don't know how that's possible, but it looks so cool. So something lighting based you could add, I don't know. But yeah, in terms of aesthetics, just to jump back, a market scenario would be really cool, I feel. Anyway, this review had no structure whatsoever. It really needed some flow blockers of its own, the actual review, just to actually make some sense of what the hell I'm saying. But no, it looks good. It does look good. And yeah, I'm very eager to see how you make this pool go from a luminous blue to more... That bus is a cool asset, by the way. I like that. Kind of a bit brutal, thinking of it as a school bus, but no, it's a cool asset. Anyway, that's the map review. I'm sure YouTube commenters will leave their comments. What have we had on Twitch? Anything interesting? Yeah, we've had a few. Vive de Gaulle, somebody was saying. Anyway, thanks for watching, and good luck continuing to make this map. Cheers.